What's going on, everybody? It's Anthony from #BetheChange. Truth will set you free. And of course, Blunt Force Discussion right here. The place where we have different conversations every week. This week, I know that I'm going to be a little bit outmatched in my knowledge of guns. You've seen Jara Hutchins on the show. We had conversations about the current state of the Second Amendment. And we also talked about firearms, and sometimes I had to pretend like I knew what she was talking about just to sound like a man. Regardless, it doesn't matter. It's okay. We're going to have some really interesting discussions with a former Marine. The best way I can describe him, we'll get into it, he's a badass. But before I introduce him, of course, I got to run through the things that try best to pay for the show. First off, go to patreon.com/bluntforcediscussion if you want to support us. Again, that's patreon.com/bluntforcediscussion. As I always like to say, all the help we can get to keep this going. We're at kind of the tail end of that test phase, and I need you guys to show a little support. For our Area 52 supporters and viewers, we'll do our best to get out of here in 58 minutes, which we started right here. I want to make sure I note it. Okay, there we go. And we will, of course, have more afterwards. Please follow the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/c/bluntforcediscussion. Easy to find. And one of our sponsors actually hung out with Tony last night. Actually, not this thing. We're going to Monate. Monate Black is the shampoo that I use mostly, but if you guys want to check out any of the Monate products, we've got anything from skin creams to oils to Rejuvenate oil, things that I all have started using because of their support for the show. Tony is an also absolute badass. I don't think she carries as many weapons regardless, but she's awesome. We actually hung out yesterday and talked about just the state of the network marketing industry and how they're doing phenomenally well, and there's just so many people trying to go against them, just like conservative voices. It's very similar, but their company is also, we talked about, predominantly our kind of people, if you know what I mean. So go to bluntforce.mymonate.com. Again, that's bluntforce.mymonate.com. If you have any questions, if you want to buy some, or if you want to actually become a network marketing partner in any way, shape, or form, shoot me an email at bluntforcediscussion@gmail.com. Simple as that. Last but not least, usually I'm wearing my own shirts, but this one's kind of a badass Ryker shirt, so, But if you want to find our stuff like Awake Not Woke, go to awakenotwokestore.com and use Awake for 15% off. We've got a new shirt on there. I know you're probably going to like this one. None of us regrets taking it. You know what I mean. You'll see that there. Besides that, we're going to get the show started. All right, when I make this intro, I want to make sure I do a little bit of justice to it, and then I'll let Ron explain more about himself. But Ron is a retired Marine Special Operations Command soldier, served 20 years in the U.S. Marines. He's done a lot to he created the first Marine Special Operations Communications School, and now what he's doing after his retirement a little over a decade ago, he's the founder of Ryker, which is a gun grip and some of the other technologies to help you be a little bit more safe with a firearm and also more accurate. But without further ado, your bio, it's nice and long. So I want to tell more about yourself, and we're going to talk all about the things of this world and, of course, the firearm that you have in front of you. This is the first time we got a gun in the house. Ron Holmes, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on?
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And not the first time. I technically carry in my bag, but not like that bad boy that you got there. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your past, and how you got to say, you know what, I'm gonna start Ryker.
So I retired from the Marine Corps in 2010. I had spent almost my whole career in Force Reconnaissance and as a recon communicator, and then we became Marine Special Operations Command and battalions, and I rolled right into that, and then promoted myself out of a job and up into the G6 is where I got to create the first Marine Corps Special Operations Comm School, which is something that we didn't have and we desperately needed.
What is it?
It's called Marine Network Operators Course. So what it basically does is it takes the field radio operator aspect of your typical, the grunt with a radio kind of thing you would see, the guy with the antennas and everything. And then you would take the data guy, because just the communications and the technology it changes every day.
Yeah.
And we have guys who are going in, like, you're setting up a complete secure satellite network all off of what you're carrying in your back.
Yeah.
And we took that and cross-pollinated it. And we did this off of mission statement requirements, of the command and the 3 different missions that we had under MARSOC at the time, and we looked at our sister special operations community. Forever, JSOC has a communications course called SOROC, and Special Operations Radio
So many
Operator course.
acronyms.
Yeah, always. It's always, yeah. So that course is amazing. It's 3 months long, and we didn't want to do the same thing because they do a lot more in that class. They do shooting and driving. We took all that out. This whole focus on this is communications. The goal was to take an E3, a Lance Corporal through a gunnery sergeant, E3 through E7, and make them a radio chief in 12 weeks.
Gotcha.
And what that is they check in the first day, they go through the admin, these are the people, this is the do's and don'ts, these are rules, blah, 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 here's what is expected of you. Break for chow, come back from chow, and these kids are putting in battery request, frequency request, satellite request, equipment request, training area request, and everything. We're teaching them how to be a radio chief from the first day. And the reason that is because the smaller teams that are going forward in 6-man and 14-man and detachments going forward in plain clothes, not built up military type areas, you're going to have that, that corporal, that E4 who's the communicator, who's attached to that team, and he's it. He's not going to have a comm chief to lean on. He is it. So that was our mission on it.
What happens in a mission when the radio guy is taken out? And how often does that happen in battle?
I mean, if you look at, I remember when I was in field radio operators course in 1990, right? It's my MOS school out of boot camp. They were like, in Vietnam, the life expectancy of a radio operator was 1.7 seconds. And we were like, I'm like, okay.
That's a heavy,
I think we should be doing something to beyond teaching
them.
us, but to make it better. But the concept is you want to be forward and backward compatible on every aspect. So the prolonged field care with medical stuff, the live tissue training, all of the advanced medical stuff the guys are doing alleviates the stress off of the team doc.
Got it.
Right. So if the doc goes down, you still have very capable, men and women down there doing that, providing that higher level of prolonged field care.
Yeah.
Same thing with the communications. It's not we're just solely on one person. Like each person has dedicated stuff, and they all have a specific requirement. Even though like this guy is primarily a shooter, he does have a 2-week requirement to get him the foundation of the communications background to help him in the event that the con guy
Somebody
went down.
goes down.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I have we had a guy that was on our show for a little bit, Kevin, on our Truth Will Set You Free. He did a lot of communication stuff. I don't think it was necessarily in the field, but talking about our communications, the state of communications in our current military. Are we behind the rest of the world or some of the other world powers in the way that we communicate on the field or in the field?
Like I'm 14 years into retirement.
Yeah.
And I haven't.
From what you know, from the people that you still know involved.
I think that, so 2 months ago, I went down and I was actually the guest speaker for the MNOC course that I created 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was telling them a story about lineage of what we put into this course from Marine Reconnaissance Communications that has been handed down since Vietnam, and the ethic. And then I told them that in the beginning, they only wanted our course. They were only going to give us 2 weeks to do this course. And I looked at them, and they just finished a 67-day course.
Wow.
And I said, could you imagine doing everything you just did in 2 weeks? And they were like, impossible.
Yeah.
So that, building that foundation to the concept with it was the course has to remain organic.
Yeah.
So it has to be written in pencil.
Yeah.
So after each deployment, these communicators have to come back and they're giving their after actions like this worked, this didn't work, changing. And the thing is that we've now, majority of my career, we used Vietnam era equipment.
Yeah.
Vietnam era tactics on so many things. The world does not allow our military to not advance.
Gotcha.
You're not going to have, there's a sign at the gate to 29 Palms, California, which is the Communications Electronics School. the key to success in battle is effective communications.
Yeah.
You're not going to have that by, in this day and age, using antiquated stuff.
Right. Well, I think some of the stuff they talk about is like, and I'm not saying necessarily the communication systems are down. I think just they say some of our encryption is not as strong as other countries. And like but some of the benefits are like some of the Black Hawk helicopters are so dated that they can't be hacked, which is kind of a positive. And some some of the antiquated is positive. I just hear a bunch of different messaging that not from a communication standpoint, but the security of our communications is not as good as some other parts in the world.
Yeah, I don't have a pulse on that. I would like to think that guys are
Hopefully
really, trying to perfect their craft and continue to remain organic. I will say that I know that even the stuff that I did post-military, like the smartwatches, the heart rate ones and the trackers, like can't wear them into the secured areas.
Really?
Because the Bluetooth is unsecured, and they have proven that it can be hacked and it can geolocate, and so all these other things. So it's not just maybe the equipment that our Marine soldiers, sailors, and airmen are using. It's the stuff that's available to us, our iPhones, your earbuds, your watches, like all these
they all
things.
ping somewhere.
It's all ping. It's an all IP address, like a Roomba, right? A Roomba is just as bad as an Alexa. Like it can be hacked.
So don't bring a Roomba to the battlefield.
Roomba and Alexa don't go on the Connex.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, so then you retired in 2010. Before we get into Ryker, in 2014, you battled cancer. What kind of cancer did you
I
have?
had testicular cancer at 42.
Gotcha.
And I was working as a diplomatic security advisor after I retired, and I was already doing blood work before. After I retired, I was doing blood work pre and post every deployment because I wanted to start tracking it. Because I also knew I retired at 38, so I wanted to maintain my my hormone level. Wanted to see where I was at, and it was like when I hit 42, my body was like, ride's over, bro. Like my abs disappeared, my eyesight went, and I had cancer.
Really?
And it was just like, and I went from a natural testosterone level of like 950, and up to 125 in a matter of like 4 months.
And they didn't have, was the cause the cancer? So I have low testosterone too.
Yeah,
that's
so
why I'm
a lot of it was probably the 90 days on, 90 days off, the constant back and forth. My cortisol levels are still messed up, and your adrenal fatigue and all that stuff. That has a lot to do with it. A lot of it has to do with the environment I was in. I was up in northern Iraq. I was up in Kurdistan, where Saddam had gassed all the Kurds.
So you're getting that chemical.
So that stuff still.
When you say 90 days on and off, are you talking about workout? You're talking about a deployment?
I was at work 85 to 90 days. I was home like 80 to 85
So
days.
it was the intense, the up and down. Okay.
Yeah. And I was home, and I was getting ready. I had a week left, and I was in the shower. It was Saturday, and found a lump. And I say this to guys, it's just like, if you even think, go get it checked.
Yeah.
Don't put it off. And I had seen my urologist 2.5 months prior to me finding the lump.
And they didn't see anything.
Didn't see it. I found it in the shower. Like I almost like knees buckled. I almost threw up. Like I knew what it was instantly.
Yeah.
I had an ultrasound Monday, had results Tuesday, pre-op Wednesday, surgery Thursday.
So I'm not like oh my God, something's wrong kind of person, but I'm curious because every so often this is gonna get awkward. I kind of do the whole look see.
You got to.
And like every so like sometimes it's a big vein and you freak out in the like ball area graphic. I know, but what is it? What did it at like? What kind of? This sounds silly.
It was the size of probably a little bit bigger than a pea.
Okay.
And when I went to the doc, I was like, "Hey man," I was like, "They're like, hey, it's got to come out," and I'm like, "All right, cool." And I was like, "Can I do it after I go to work?" And they're like, "Where do you work?" And I was like, "Iraq." And they're like, "How long are you going to be there?" I'm like, 90 days. They're like, "You'll be stage 4 cancer in 90 days."
No kidding.
He's like, "This is an aggressive tumor." He goes, "It wasn't here 2 months ago." He's like, "And now it's here." He says, "It's got to come out like this week."
Wow.
So I got lucky. I got extremely lucky. Caught it, and because when they take out one of your testicles and then they go up higher just to clip it off to make sure it doesn't spread up into your lungs. One of my best friends, he found it quick and everything like that, but his had spread, so he's had a little bit longer road of recovery. I got extremely fortunate on it. I was also extremely fortunate that I was already seeing a urologist to monitor my testosterone levels. So that was that, and then the doctor's like, "Hey, bro, you're going to do what you're going to do, but I strongly recommend you don't leave the country for 2 years." He goes, "I can't 100% say that your environment caused it, but he goes, I can 100% say that it didn't not cause it."
Right, and that's why you didn't deploy after.
Right, and then at that point too, I was about 25 years, and
That's a lot longer, by the way, than that 1.7 seconds is the.
Yes, it is. And but I was just sitting there, and it was I met my wife post retirement, and it just started to get very, very hard to leave. What? It just didn't seem worth it.
Yeah.
And guys would always tell me, like, they would ask me in the Marines, they were like, "Bro, when do you know when is it time?" I'm like, "When it's not fun."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What do you mean it's not fun?" I was like, "Look, we got good days and bad days, but like when every day and you're driving, you're like, shit,
Yeah.
I got to go here again, do this, and it's starting to feel pushing you down. It's time. That's your answer. You need change."
Completely different scenario, but same concept as entrepreneur. I had Tony Watley on a couple weeks ago, and we talked about it. Like, people always say, when do you quit? When is it time to give up? Because we always say, you don't give up. You keep pushing. But when you wake up in the morning, day after day, not the first time it's hard, but when it's day after day, and you're like, I'm dreading going into work. I'm dreading doing this for an extended period of time. It's time to leave. And I think that translates to military, entrepreneurialism, et cetera. Military, though, you do have to make sure you get your years in for the benefits that is already like pulling teeth to get. Which before we get in, I want to get into how you formed Ryker and all the products and stuff like that. Because it is cool when people watch the videos, they're gonna see how interesting it is. It's like a completely alternative way to use a rifle. But today I did a video on Instagram talking about student loan forgiveness. That's this, crazy thing that people signed a loan, whatever. And the application just got released. So whenever we're watching this, could be a couple weeks ago. Biden is now, his administration's coming out with how to fill out the paperwork and all this stuff. What's your dealings like with the VA? And this correlates, in my opinion. Are they pretty rough?
How much time have we got?
Yeah. So that'll get into my next question. So what I've always heard is, no matter what you do correct, if you fill out your paperwork for your benefits that you earned, you deserve, no matter what, they spit it back to you the first time, even if it's perfect.
Nothing's easy. One of the things that I do when I'm navigating the system, I try to pay it forward and get that information out to other veterans. And I'm involved in a veteran business collective in Wilmington, and it's just veteran-owned companies that all come together. We come together twice a month, and just try to help guys as best I can. My dealings with the VA, it's bittersweet. When it works, it's awesome. To get to that point, it's hard. And they have this system called My Healthy Vet, and you have privileges based off of your percentage of 10, 20, 30, 50, 100%.
Yeah.
When you have 100%, you have carte blanche. You have access to everything. So my former team doctor I would send an email, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to renew my consult for chiropractic care. And they're like, "Well, you've already got one in this year." I was like, "I understand that." I was like, "But I'm not going to take any pills, and this works quality of life." And they're like, "Okay, we'll resubmit it." 3 months goes by. I'm like, "Hey, I have not, this date you said you were submitting it. Haven't heard anything. Could somebody help me find this out?" Because I'm starting to get, my headaches are coming back. The numbness in my feet, my hands back. I need to get back on track. And they'll come back and they're like, "Oh, we submitted it." I give it another week. And I'm like, I got nothing. And now now the email is like, it's a different tone. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I have to say the same thing almost every time. I'm like, I bet if I was like, you know what? F it. I don't need chiropractic care. Just give me a prescription of some whatever opiate I want. I'd have an endless supply of opiates mailed to my house and no questions asked. All right. I says, because you guys are beholden to big pharma. And I was like, you're not really concerned about caring and treating the root problem and taking care of the veterans.
Period.
And I got to be a complete dickhead on the email. And then it's a miracle. The next day, the Care Coalition, I get a phone call. Hey, we're calling to schedule your chiropractor appointment. I'm like, wow. So
You have to do that every time.
so I got to a point where they had one email. If I didn't get what I wanted, that first email, I was just straight a-hole. Like straight, just, I'm not apologizing. Other than cussing them out in the thing.
Yeah.
I'm very directed, email.
Yeah.
And then I found out I could change my care provider. And I was like, whoa. And when all the pandemic lockdown crap, right?
Yeah.
They went to phone calls. So I had my meeting and I'm talking to guys like, hey, I'd like to see this doctor for this. And he laughed at me. And he was like, he laughed. And I was like, did you just laugh at me? And he goes, no. I was like, now you're lying to me. I was like, you just laughed at me because I told you this. I was like, look, I'm not your average veteran. Like, I want better quality of life. I understand what I need to do.
You've done the
improve my
research to
quality
make
life.
it, yeah, to instead of
live a
just take
healthy
the pills.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
I was like, now I'm 51 with a 6-year-old. I want to be snowboarding with my son when I'm 85 years old, right?
Yeah.
Like getting it.
Yeah.
So like that's where my mindset
Kids
is
are
now.
skiing these days, but you and I will stick to snowboarding.
Yeah. There's no skis in our house unless we're doing split board.
Okay.
But
I dig it.
yeah, so it's just like it's all this. So and I was like, that's it. And I wrote this 5-page scathing letter, and sent it. And I was just like, I will not accept care. I will not accept appointment. I will not accept anything from this doctor. I have lost all trust and confidence in him. He's sitting back here. He's just collecting a paycheck. He is screwing veterans over. And I gave them every single thing. Everyone back to every meeting because it's all documented in your emails and your schedule. And I was like, he was late. He's never been on time. He's laughed at me. He's drug his feet on this and everything. And I got changed over to the doctor that I had wanted, who is a retired Air Force doc, left private practice in Wilmington to go work at the VA there to try to fix it from within.
How's he doing?
Dude, he's like, I don't know who you know. He's like, I'm 500 patients over that I'm my authorized. And he's like, I don't know how you did this. And I was like, I'll give you a copy of the letter that I wrote.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this guy in 10 minutes, sitting down when my first initial meeting with him in 10 minutes, did more for me than that guy did in friggin' 8 years. He was.
What was your rating on that scale? Are you 100%?
I'm 100.
You're
I'm
100. And it's still that hard.
Yeah.
That's the crazy
Yeah.
part. So that's when I relate it to the student loan stuff. It's like, make that as hard. These are people that should be educated. I mean, they got an education, whether they blew it away or not, whatever. I mean, I went to college. I get it. I also paid it. And I would, if I was in that place, I would, of course, take the money because you're going to pay for it in taxes later. I took the stimulus check. You're going to pay for it in taxes later. It's not like I didn't think we should do it, but once it's there, you have to. But I think they should make it incredibly difficult to get that money for them.
Well, I think it should be qualifications, and it should be like, well, one, if you don't have a degree, you don't get.
If you didn't
can't
finish,
apply.
Yeah.
Right. If you're not working in the field, you can't apply.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like
right?
that.
Like if it's documented that you are spoke out against the government, you are anti-establishment, you're anti-American.
See ya.
No, because the American taxpayers are paying for that. American taxpayers. No, you're not qualified.
Do you know what I said? I said we could not make people have to pay it back because that's not the purpose of it. I understand that, but make there be a 1% tax to those people that they have to file their taxes for the rest of the time. It's almost not noticeable, but it's enough to where they will chip away at that payment. If they want to take it, they have to pay that small tax.
I don't think it should be for free because someone's paying for it, and I think that's a great way. I think it should be higher than 1%. But
yeah,
the thing is the Honor Your Pact Act recently got passed.
Yeah.
For the burn pits.
Yep.
Right. And my first deployment was to Gulf War. I was in the Marine Corps 9 months, and I've had a respiratory issue since. And I did some work with them, organized them because we had a couple senators in Wilmington, North Carolina, that were dragging feet and not doing it. We brought John Stewart down. We brought the Grunt Style Foundation, which is out of San Antonio, and Burn Pits 360, and we rallied, and it got passed. and I did a follow-up interview once it got passed, and I'm like, all right. They're like, you happy it got passed? I'm like, well, I mean, it's a start.
What was, there was something imperfect with it, because I know Jack Postebeck was not a huge fan.
They slid all kinds of other funding in
Put the
there.
pork in there?
Yeah, and it was just like it passed, but it's still malicious on how it passed. But
they're slamming some of the Republicans for voting against it, and they're like, oh,
the guys voted against it because they put all this bullshit in there, right?
Yeah.
So it's the thing with that too is that you passed it.
Now what?
Where is the path? Why there's still no path?
Yeah.
And that's my thing. Is like, why is there not a path? Why not anybody who's already filed for respiratory issues from going back to Vietnam, which is the good thing, right?
Yeah.
Going back to Vietnam, where is the path? Where's the email blast that's going out to them that says, hey, you were service, you've had this in your chart, blah blah blah. Here's where you start. Boom, 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 boom. Here's the path you take. Why is there not a path? Why has it not been presented? Because
they're too busy putting other shit in the bill.
I haven't received an email like that, right? And it would be nice.
Yeah, we have already a post from the administration back to, I hate to beat a dead horse, about how to start filing for your student loan forgiveness.
Right.
That was 3 weeks ago or a month ago. I mean, it's stupid. The way that, and again, I've never served. I've worked a lot with people that have, and one of the business partners I have is a Gold Star family, and it's insane to me. You like or love some veterans are assholes. I know that. Some are also the best people I've ever met. It doesn't matter what I think about them. It's what they sacrificed for this country, whether they gave their life or not. And the way that we treat our veterans is disgusting, knowing that we spend so much money in places that don't need it when there is. I mean, the VA. The reason VA bleeds makes it so hard for people to get there's not enough money to fund. If everybody got their benefits, there wouldn't be enough money. Yet we're blowing money in Ukraine. We're blowing money on student loan forgiveness, and we still do not respect veterans the way they're supposed to be, and it drives me nuts.
The thing is that the system is broken in every aspect.
Yeah.
They're still requiring you to wear masks in there. I don't wear a mask. Never wore a mask, right? They're like, oh, it's, and then they ask you, have you been exposed to anybody who in the last 30 days who's had COVID symptoms? And I'm like, impossible question. I'm like, and they're like, well, you have to answer. And I'm like, okay, have you? And they look at me and they're like, I'm like, have you? I said, because I've now come in contact with you. So if you have, then I guess I have, because I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's not my business to ask somebody, hey, it's so broken across the board on that. But the process of it all, it just needs to be shut down and like a restart button, and people need to, like, accountability.
Yeah.
Going back to Lieutenant Colonel Schiller, the only person who's been held accountable for the Afghan war who wasn't even there, Lieutenant Colonel Schiller, who all he said was like, where's the accountability?
Yeah.
Right? Accountability, these guys are continuing to fail forward.
Yeah.
Right? In every aspect. And it's a political game. But with the VA, the biggest thing that they can do is to actually put forth the effort to treat.
Yeah. Instead of medicate. Yeah.
Be doctors. Like there's like the profession now, the doctors that are actually doctors they're shunned.
Yeah.
They're like kicked off social media and everything like this
and
everything like that. Because they're going against who's paying the bills. They're going against Big Pharma. They're going against the insurance companies.
Which anybody with a brain right now can see what's going on with people dying, having the cancer rates through the roof. DOD's results right now are showing anything from current service members to veterans. It is astronomical in those that have been forced to get it. So that's going to be my last question about the VA, and then we'll move on.
All right.
Sorry, it was good. I mean, it's always interesting to hear people that have firsthand experience. But with the jab, even veterans are having trouble getting benefits. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily need to know your vaccine status, but I'm assuming based on knowing you, have you had issues? I know some veterans have. Have you had issues getting your benefits Because have they asked, or is it just certain people I know are getting asked? Why is that?
They haven't come after us like that
Okay.
yet. And it was something my wife and I talked about. I was like, they're probably coming after us, and so no, I haven't seen anything like that. They ask you all the time. They asked me when I had an appointment the other day, and they're like, hey, have you gotten your flu shot? And I was like, I don't do vaccines.
Yeah.
I was like, I haven't had a flu shot in over 30 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you know what else I don't get? Sick. So, but
Facts. I
Yeah.
mean, I've never had a flu shot, natural, and definitely not a vaccine. It's just interesting because I have heard a couple people start to struggle that serve, and it's crazy. It's like, that's the hill you're gonna die on, to force these people to get something that is completely unproven, that they're admitting is now unproven. Moving on before we get banned. Let's before we do the water shot seat, we're gonna say it's early, so that's what we're gonna do. But I want to get a little bit into let's do Ryker first. So take us through. 2014 you had cancer. The way you named Ryker was also pretty cool. I like that too. Or did you name was it your son, or was
son and then partners
Son
made the decision. Yeah.
Got it. I like it. So yeah, why Ryker? Why did you start up with that?
So it was right after I had the cancer diagnosed. I had actually had a bunch of prototypes that I had made. I've actually got a lot of products that I've invented over the years, and a couple have been made real, because what does a 25-year-old Force Recon Marine know about patents and
Right.
intellectual property? And the answer is nothing.
Yeah.
And we're talking like in the 90s. So the tactical industry wasn't what it is now. That, courtesy of 9/11, right? The tactical industry was born out of 9/11.
Okay.
Up until then, it was a very limited market, very hard to find stuff. I'm left-handed, so I used to have to reconstruct all my own stuff. So I like to tell people my superpower is that I'm left-handed. And we were, my partner Jake and I were actually going up to see Korn. We're good friends with those guys, and we're going to see him. And he's like, dude, you need to invent something. And I'm like, bro, I got a notebook of like ideas. And I was like, here's what I'm working on now. And he's like, well, why don't you? And I was like, well, since I'm not contracted anymore, I was like, I don't have like the 30 grand I can just
Yeah.
throw at it, the R&D for a patent. He goes, well, how do you know it's 30 grand? And I was like, my buddy who's had 20 full patents before he was 30 gave me the roadmap on how to do it. And he's like, all right. He's like, so how about this? How about me and Josh, we back it financially. We split everything, 33 and a third until we get up and running. And I was like, all right.
Deal.
Like, fine. That's the only way it's going to get done today. So
Yeah.
let's do it. So it was good. It's been an amazing process, right? Like being a veteranpreneur and going down that road and the things that we've had to learn and how I have grown and changed and understand so much more about business and numbers and all these things. And it's been amazing. But we were an LLC, and in the Navy and the Marine Corps, when you're aboard ship, you're shipmates, and it's a derogatory term. It's taken as a derogatory term, of present times. And so basically, when someone calls you a shipmate, it's a polite way. They're like calling you an asshole.
Okay.
Right? So because both my partners are Navy, I'm the Marine, and
Okay.
I've got more sea time, that's days at sea, than both of them do, and they're both retired. I got them together, they don't even have as much sea time as I have. Right? But so we called our company Shipmate, and we had an awesome, throw old school nautical stars and anchor, and it was a beautiful logo that Jay came up with. And then when we sat down with some investors, we got approved, we got our patents, our application submitted, and then we started with the engineers, and we started figuring out cost and production and everything like that. So we're like, let's do a venture capitalist round of investing, see what we can do. And that's when we took these guys to the range, ran them through about 8 different types of weapons, gave them a class, and we were sitting down at dinner, and I asked the partner, I was like, hey man, so how long before we hear back from them? And he's like, man, it'll probably be about 2-3 weeks. And the phone rang. And he stepped outside and came back. He goes, all right, they made us an offer. They want in. So we're like, oh, damn, awesome, right?
Well, did you essentially take them through without the grip? And it was the grip was the first.
This is the Focus.
The Focus product.
So we had them shoot without, and then we had them shoot with.
So
and the thing is that there was 5 guys there, and 3 of them were not gun people.
Yeah,
I had and then they were like, it's insane difference. So that was it right there. So when we changed from LLC to C Corp, we had to change names.
Yeah,
and it was like at this point we had all our stuff planned, and we're done. We're like, okay, now we got to go back. We're like, we had to put energy into a new name, and we're like, I was just like, I was.
You couldn't do shipmate.
I can't remember why.
There was a reason.
Yeah,
there might have been another C Corp.
There was there's illegal something in there, and again, this is why my partners are awesome. They're MBA guys. They're businessmen.
Yeah,
I am the business light man of the team.
You're the inventor, man.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah. So, but my son had been born, and the thing is it's like, I beat the recon curse, which is
clearly you got your testosterone back up. By the way,
that took 8. In our course of things, my son would have actually been our second, but after my surgery, it took over 18 months to get my body back.
Wow.
To where I was producing live swimmers. So not only did I make a man cub, I made a man cub on one nut. Yeah. So there you go.
You make it happen with what you have.
I shouldn't say I.
Well, it was a team effort.
And I.
Yeah.
Yes.
You refer to her as a rock star, so I'm I could only assume. Okay.
Yeah. So that and they call me up and they're like, hey, we got a name for the company. I'm like, what? And they're like, we want to call it Ryker USA. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah. They're like, we're here because of you, and that's a badass name. So, and I was like, let me check with Trey. And so I said, babe, and I was like, what do you think? She's like, what? So now my son, who's 6, he owns it. He's like, psh, this is Ryker from Ryker USA. Like he's got all his swag,
all the gear,
got all his stuff and everything. He loves wearing it around. Yeah.
Does he like the Hawaiian or the 80s Hawaiian stuff too?
Yeah.
Badass.
Yes.
I dig it.
Yeah. I've already got him. I turned him into a sneakerhead already. This kid's got like 7 pairs of Jordans and Vans and like, oh yeah, he's
awesome. He's
styling.
So you got you named it after him, and then the logo also has a crow. Why a crow?
Raven.
That's not a crow. It's
a raven.
Similar.
Yes. Yeah. So we didn't want, and there's nothing wrong with it, but we wanted it to be a brand. We didn't want.
You can see it right there.
We didn't want it to be your typical military firearms type logo, skulls, knives, crossbones, crosshairs, all these things. We didn't want any of that. We wanted something that was clean and professional because we're also looking at doing other things outside of the firearm space.
Right.
So we want this to be our brand.
Yeah.
But we wanted to keep it warrior ethos. So Vikings,
Raven,
Odin, Huden and Muden. I probably said those names wrong.
Works for me.
But his two ravens.
Yeah.
We just kept him informed, flew out, told him what was going on. It's whichever one you want, but that's where the Raven came from. The loyalty, on that, intelligence, and just forward thinking. So that was it.
I like it. All right, so we're going to come back, talk more about Ryker after our shot seat. Let's see. We'll talk about the Ryker grip. I want to have some questions about gun laws in this country and the weird world we live in. All right, let's do the Don't Get the Shot seat by Artist Labs. We'll be right back.
I could go on about the VA, like.
I'm sure you can. Every veteran I talk to, I don't know if I think I have one other veteran that I know that is a 100% or 100 pay, and he deals with the same crap. He just got his daughter taken care of. Son, daughter. I'm a terrible friend. Anyways, just got born, had a lot of complications, and it was hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the VA took forever to cover it, and they finally had to fight. And anybody that had less fight, they'd have just been in debt the rest of their life.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the Don't Get the Shot seat from Artist Labs. Let's see what I got. I want to actually do one very specific thing because, here it is. Doc's Viral Defense. So if you haven't heard me talk about all these products, you've seen Brian Artis on the show. He's also the reason why we were banned for a week and why our reach is not as good, because I did a 13-minute video with him talking about all of his products and specifically how to flush the jibbity jab from the system. So you'll have to find that on the Rumble page. The link is always in the show comments. But I had a friend this last week that had the COOF, and by the way, she was twice vaccinated. But anyways, I digress. She's now had it 3 times. Good friend of mine, and I'm not going to out names, but regardless, she didn't feel great. She took a little bit of vitamin C, and I had her overdose on Doc's Viral Defense. These statements are not approved by the FDA in any way, shape, or form, but the next day, she was just fine. I'll leave it there. Anyways, go to thedrartistshow.com to check out all the products. You've got anything from Cardio Pro to I take the Prostate Pro so that I don't pee at 7 in the morning every morning when I wake up. So go to thedrartistshow.com, use BFD at checkout for 10% off. There's also some sales going on right now. So again, BFD at checkout. Now, this is the way this works. We're just going to say cheers. We're going to say cheers to the shot seat. Here we go. It's water and it's going to feel good. Because really, it's like 1 o'clock right now. So, and I think it's a military thing. So Barb is our Gold Star wife, and I call it the shot seat. It's technically the sip seat. Unfortunately, I misnomer it, and she took the whole shot, and then she called me a pussy because I was like, well. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you some questions. These are quick fire-off questions, and you give a quick answer. It doesn't have to be one word at all, but just little thoughts. First question, we'll talk guns. What's your favorite gun to shoot?
Recently?
Yeah.
Shotgun with my grip on it.
Shotgun with the grip, because the grip was originally for a rifle.
I was one-dimensionally thinking I just wanted to shoot my AR pain-free.
Yeah.
And then in prototyping, we're like, hey, let's put this on a Scar Heavy. Like, hey, do you think we could put on shotgun? Like, let's try it. And I was shooting skeet with a Mossberg 500 and our grip, like, insane.
Is it easy to install on that? Takes a little bit more work.
I had as long as you have like the forend on it that has the MLOC slots, you can put it right on.
Got it.
So yeah, that, and then we had to put on a saw. But I tell you, it's just I have a shotgun development course that I created for the person who uses a shotgun for home defense, and each course of fire is 25 targets that you have to engage. So you're thinking about round management, shoot, move, move to cover, and shot placement and everything like that, and it's a lot of fun. I love teaching it, but I love running it. And I tell you, I love shooting it. A shotgun is my kind of favorite right now.
For tournament purposes, do you think it'll be outlawed?
No, it's
allowed. Mm-hmm. Is it do you think it could give it's an advantage, obviously.
We've got our first 3 sponsored shooters. One, the Texas girl,
we'll
Alpha Addy.
Pictures, yeah,
and Reagan, pineapple shooter, and then J. Sly Woods out in South Carolina. They all run it, and we just did an event at the Hurricanes marksmanship team event, and they were all the kids are bringing their parents over. They're like, this is what Sly shoots. This is why he shoots so fast. I gotta have this, and almost their entire team is running the grip now.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it improved. It's almost like when I'm gonna go on a limb here and compare ourselves to Michael Jordan and Air Jordans, but when he came out with the Jordans, they said he had an unfair advantage because the air allowed him to jump higher.
Yeah.
Which is he's just Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So this all we're doing is with the Ryker grip, we have fixed something we've all done and been taught to do incorrectly for hundreds of years, and that's shoot a shoulder fire rifle. We biomechanically fix that. So we put you into a more ergonomic state.
I like it.
So,
yeah. And again, we'll talk even about shoulder problems, and that's kind of why you did it. But that's, to me, something very interesting, as my shoulder sucks on my left side. All right, here's a question. If you're pretending to be Joe Biden, I don't know where this comes from, but as a normal human being, a logical thinker, what is an assault weapon?
Well, this is an assault glass, right? This is an assault microphone. I'm sitting on an assault chair, right? It's a made up phrase by people who don't take the time to actually read the policies they create and sign. There's over 22,000 gun laws on the books, right? Mm-hmm. So assault weapon is a made up term. Right?
It's weird to me.
This is a carbine.
Yeah.
I don't own any ARs. I have carbines. Right, I don't subscribe to that, so I don't know what.
How can they figure out exactly what they're talking about? And the thing is, there's some leftist politicians that I know own firearms. They've talked about firearms in their past, But now they're just saying, we will get rid of assault weapons.
Everything is an assault weapon.
So you're going to tell me you're getting rid of pistols? That's an assault weapon. Technically, they all can be, everything is an assault
Hammers,
weapon.
knives, and ladders
Are assault weapons.
kill more people a year than rifles.
I'm sure. Not handguns, because we all know what goes on in Chicago, which those are not legally registered anyways. Yep. Totally different sidebar. Let's see. How do people in this country still think that Biden is doing a good job? How can you qualify them?
I don't think they are. I think that it's still, you're even starting to see it on mainstream media. It's already like they're already going after him.
Starting to switch.
Yep. They not maybe necessarily switch, but like y'all need to.
A little bit of honesty. SNL had a rare honest skit about them.
I only see them. I don't.
I just see the clips. I don't watch it. Oh no, God, you can't pay me
And it's
anymore.
like they've had a handful of ones lately. I'm like, ooh,
They're trying to get their audience back.
yeah. They're starting like you starting to look like you were like Chevy Chase days. Okay, but
they're seeing how many views Rob Schneider's getting, and they're like, crap.
Yeah. And he's a great example. He was just on the other day with he was just on with Glenn Beck. And he was just like, I was blue. I was Democrat. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and he goes, why'd you change? He goes, you see, like, how hot the chicks are on the Republican side? And I was like, that's funny, but like, no, that was his thing.
It's kind of true. Watch the news.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know how at this point. I get for the first few months you could qualify it at this point, especially seeing just some of the gaffes that he does where he doesn't know where he is. You take his failed policies, you take the administration issues, and then you take his inability, like eating ice cream a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago if you're watching it, eating ice cream, talking about gas prices and saying our economy's strong as hell. I've got people who have traveled all over the world recently, and I could tell you that Italy, UK, all of them are much stronger economically. They're not worried about a recession. They're on the uptick while we're on the downtick, and I think that's a very scary thought.
Yeah, I think that they need to stop putting the camera on him, and I think I don't know what the plan is of them, but Rogan said it, and he's just like it's actually sad.
Yeah,
and the thing is that the just absolutely horrible way we left Afghanistan. And no apologies, no nothing, checking his watch while he was there where they were receiving the bodies of the dead Marines.
No ownership at it.
No, nothing at all. Looking at his watch like, okay, it's time to go. All right. Well, one, why is the president wearing a watch? He doesn't need a watch, right? But it's like all these things. It's just we aren't taken serious. We're not respected. I mean, he asked Saudi to like reduce oil production. They're like, no.
And they're up. No. Yeah. And the thing is, we weren't respected very much during Trump in a different way because our media found a way to spin everything. Yeah. Orange man bad, all these different things. Whereas, I mean, what he was actually doing when he went over there, I don't know if he made friends per se, but he was respected. When he was in North Korea, very respected. When he was in China, he was respected and even a little bit feared. I think part of the things he did with China and all the trade stipulations he put in, I think that's probably the reason why they wanted him out so bad. And I think that's part of COVID. I think I would even conspiratoriously say he was to blame for COVID in a weird way because I think China goes, how do we get him out? Create a pandemic.
Fair point.
But I still wouldn't change anything that he did.
No. Yeah. Well, he would have handled Afghanistan different.
10 times.
And it's just like listen to like a lot of these guys like Sean Ryan podcast and everything. These guys they're bringing on the dudes. They're just like, why did this happen this way? What were we doing for the last 20 years to just quit and not even leave a presence there?
Awful.
And give like Bagram it was a massive. We developed that thing into an insane like city.
Yeah.
And to walk away from it.
Being run, and it's being run by ISIS at this point, from what I understand.
Yeah, crashing all the Blackhawks.
Yeah,
So I don't know. It's just it's sad. It's sad, and it's disrespectful.
Yeah, I agree.
It's disrespectful to us.
Absolutely.
So,
Two more questions. This one is the, I never know how to answer this question. People talk about gun laws and they say, well, you can't look at the Constitution, you can't look at the Second Amendment because that was written when there were muskets, and it's very different than obviously modern firearms. That's why we should have different laws. That's the argument. What do you say to the argument of the Constitution was written when things were single fire?
It was also written before iPhones and 24-hour news and social media and instant gratification and the I me, and everybody gets a trophy. It was written before all of that. It was written before, woke culture. So, again, people like to cherry pick the things that they like, okay? Cars, drunk drivers and texting and driving kill more people than firearms, right? But that's acceptable death because we got places to be. I got to get to work. I got to go here. So I need my car, right? But guns are bad. Guns kill people. Well, one car can kill massive amounts of people just like a gun can, right? Yeah. We take a 15-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, send them through driver's ed, give them a driver's license after they pass the driving test and the written exam, and put them out on the road in a car that can go over 110 miles per hour, but yet they have never been to a professional driving school. So what do we, if we're going to do this and you want to cherry pick straws, we're going all the way. This car only goes to 55 miles per hour. It goes to the maximum speed limit that's in the vicinity that you live in. Like, that's it.
So if you're going to control guns.
And if you go over that, oh, you lose your car. Yeah. Oh, guess what? If you go over that, it's like $10,000 fine. Like, if you count violating this and
But to be clear, you don't want that per se.
No,
you're saying we should. Yeah.
But it's like people need to it's a cherry picking.
Now you're comparing apples to apples instead of I get what you're
saying. Yeah. So
yeah.
it's I understand gun laws and I understand that certain things and it's a torn subject. Not everybody should have a gun. Like somebody who's spent a lot of time, who's not any fault of their own, just they were born with something wrong. Yeah. And they're on psychotropics and heavy metals, and they spend a lot of time in a mental institution. Should not have a gun. Right. Felons, you know what? Felons shouldn't have a gun, right? That's already a law.
Right.
Right.
It's most of them already are. Common sense gun laws are a lot of them.
Dishonorable discharge from the military. Yeah. Can't own firearm. Right.
Yeah.
So 22,000 laws there's probably 21,500 of them that are redundant.
You just said dishonorable discharge. The people that did get booted from the military, are they getting dishonorable discharges for the shot?
I actually know 3 Marines from Marine Special Operations who have been forced out, and they were admin set.
Okay, so it's not a dishonorable.
It's not dishonorable, but they have no benefits. They have no VA. They have nothing.
Bullshit.
Yes.
Okay, that's horrific bullshit. Last question. This one's a little bit fun. I said that I was going to stop asking this one, but each week I get good answers. So, do you think that we landed on the moon?
Man, I don't know. I'd like to think we did because as a kid, I thought being an astronaut was cool. And I thought that was my going to be as a kid. I thought that that's how I'm going to get on the Millennium Falcon. That's from the moon, right? Okay. Like that's kind of where my head was. So I'd like to think we did. I'd like to think that these guys who that did the moon landings and all of the space missions,
weren't full of shit.
Yeah, that they were telling the truth. Like, who was it? Who was
Buzz Aldrin?
Buzz Aldrin. Is it when he punched that kid out?
Well, he punched the guy that said. He said, put your hand on the Bible. He punched him, but then it was the kid that he was like, we didn't go to the moon. And there's a whole bunch. It's it's very confusing. Would you? So here's 10 years ago, if I would ask you that question, would you have had any doubt that we went to the moon? Yeah, same here.
But again, it's just more. It's like, so what kind of propaganda has been trickled into my head? And
there was a big reason for it. Then we had to show that we were stronger than the Russians. There was a whole political purpose.
Yeah, I honestly now that's just one of the things. I don't got time for that.
Yeah, exactly. Because I honestly don't. I don't want to be disappointed.
Yes,
to be honest. We'll leave it there. Yeah. That is the end of the Don't Get the Shot Shotzi by Dr. Artis Labs. We'll be right back. All right, so we've got about 4 minutes left on Area 52 TV, so I want to make sure those watching there, again, if you want to watch the rest or if you missed part of the show, go to youtube.com/C/Blunt Force Discussion. I want to fly through. Can we throw those pictures up real quick? Let you just actually, you know what? Yeah, I want you to show the gun. Forget about the pictures first. So show not the gun, obviously, but the actual grip and how it works.
All right.
So why is it different? What do we got there?
So your traditional broom handle, wedge, nub, thumb over bore all have one thing in common. You're holding all the weight of that gun up right here.
Yeah.
This is where the fatigue comes in, and then this is where long-term in professional competitive shooting, this is where you're going to get the breakdown in that joint. Just by taking your hand off the side, off the bottom or over the top, and bringing it out to the side, I'm no longer holding the gun up. I'm pulling it back. Because I'm pulling it back, that alleviates the stress off that shoulder. I'm using larger muscle groups. I'm using my shoulders, my back. Changes the felt weight of the gun. Because I'm pulling it back, that eliminates the recoil. The other part is the standoff is no glove, no heat. So if you think about law enforcement that gets out of their car and gets into an active shooter situation, 3 mags deep, even with a glove on, they're playing the piano, they're playing the guitar on the rifle to manage pain with the heat. So just sitting here now, the other thing too is if you look at this and you take that rifle away, I'm in the same exact position.
That's the video I saw.
Yeah, I'm in the same exact position shooting pistol as I am rifle and shotgun. So anything that I shoulder fire, I can have commonality of movement across all platforms.
So say you take the strap, you drop it down, you take that off, you're already in position to grab your firearm and
So for transition,
your pistol.
With our sling.
And you created that because you were having shoulder problems.
Yeah, so prior to retiring, I had multiple surgeries, leaving me with rubber bands that hold my shoulders in, and screws and fishing line in each elbow with multiple compressions in my neck and my spine.
Yeah.
When I went into government service after I retired, all the shooting we were doing, my support arm was painfully going numb on me to the point where I was taking inferior positions, coming back here for pain management, coming back to the magwell, right? So all of those things, and that's what led me to create this. Now with our sling is a.
You can see it that way. Go back to that. There you go. That'll work.
Our sling is a retention
This is a
system,
cool. I like this angle.
right?
This is cool.
We like it. We recommend behind the pistol grip and behind the as far back on the rail as you can get.
Can you hear him, Joe? Okay, cool. Yeah, keep
So
going.
if I bend over right now, my muzzle is going out to the side. I'm not muzzle. If I got to do medical attention or if I'm a cop, I got to arrest somebody.
Yeah.
I'm not jamming my muzzle back into them. So now your typical nylon sling, you'd have to release the tension, reacquire grip, come back up. With ours, you just push right out, and the retention that's built into the body of the sling, it pulls the rifle right back into your shoulder, and I can just drop it right down, and then I can come up with my secondary.
It looks different. I can tell that there's a difference there. So where do people buy these? Do you have any like fun codes for people? Is there like a 10% off right now?
Yeah, so we're at RykerUSA.com, and go on there now and get on our email list because we're getting ready to release. Probably, by the time this comes out, it'll still be in pre-sale. But our ultimate goal was to release what we call the Ryker Control. We wanted to take the controls for your light laser and remove the need for pressure pads and put them inside of the grip. So what we have is you can activate your devices from inside the grip. This is going to be offered in a single lead light and single lead laser option. Dual lead is available upon request. We're working out some other issues with that because that requires a $500 light to use the dual lead, so you don't get a white light, flash of white light.
Should every police department probably put these on their?
Hey, I'm biased. I think every Marine,
everybody should.
Airman, every law enforcement. One of the things that we found, especially with our youth shooters, is men and women, law enforcement, not a lot of upper body strength, right? Wearing all that equipment. Can't really get around that equipment. This gives them the ability to shoot as they should be able to. Other people with pre-existing injuries, neck, arthritis, joints. We've had, when we launched, like I said, one-dimensional, I just wanted to shoot my AR pain-free. Then we started getting these secondary and tertiary responses. Can
we use it for this?
No. I've had a double lung transplant, and I'm a retired law enforcement. and I've never been able to shoulder a rifle since my surgery until your grip.
Wow.
You gave me this back. Like veterans who've dual amputee at the hip, Kyle Carpenter, Marine Medal of Honor recipient, right? You know, his right arm is fixed. He can't grip like this. He can't rotate his hand around with our grip. Spent the day on the range with him, and he was like, I could go back to Afghanistan as I am right now because of the grip.
That's badass.
You know, and one of my partners said it best. He's like, we go out of business today. We never sell another grip. He's like, we're a success.
That's awesome.
And we didn't think about it like that. You know, you can't though. That's not, didn't set out to be like, oh yeah, it was never on our radar.
Yeah.
And it's just like, some of the letters that we get, the emails that we get, man, they hit you in the feels.
Well, it's just like in the movie Shooter, Jacob Schick, when he said it to what's the main character, Kyle, Bradley Cooper, he goes, yeah, I feel like I got my balls back. Like sometimes just getting the ability to just fire that firearm, it means a lot. More than people that don't understand.
Yeah.
It means a lot. All right, that for our Area 52 people. We will be right back for everybody else. But Area 52, thanks for joining. Sometimes they play a little extra. As always, patreon.com. Sorry, Joe, threw a curveball. Patreon.com/blunt force discussion. Help us out. Go to Ryker USA if you want to check out any of these products.
Ryker 20 at checkout.
Ryker 20 at checkout. That'll get you, I'm assuming, $20 off or 20%?
20%.
No, 20%.
20%.
Yeah, they're not that expensive.
And get your email on there because the Ryker
one's
control is only going to be for our email list up until Black Friday.
Boom goes the dynamite. We'll be right back. So as I'm looking at it, and welcome back to everybody, we got about 15, 20 minutes of bonus time. When I'm looking at it, so I see the purpose. My one question is, people like to be sleek. It's not big at all. But will some people say, like, if they're taking out of a case or whatever it might be, does it get in the way?
You saw me take it out of my case.
So it was fully in the case. You didn't have to put it on. It was already set like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because just in my head, I'm thinking like people have got.
We've had people like, oh, it's gonna get caught. It's gonna get caught. Well, if your hand is on it,
How's it gonna get caught?
it's not gonna get caught any more than something getting caught between the light and the laser, right? And
Okay.
any more than getting caught on your optic.
Yeah.
Or on all the other like your nods and everything else that the guys are wearing. So no, it's not going to get caught, right? And you know, if you think about from weapons retention, either from high compress, you know, underarm assault, high port, you know, or low ready, whatever it is, you know, that ability.
What language is that? I'm just kidding.
What you get too is your drive stop. Your drive stop transitioning from target to target is we actually have a 96 round course of fire that we created in our prototyping. I'm out there with a bunch of guys, and like now I'm obviously biased, so I'm like, there's some things I can't say. I have to wait till they're said.
Yeah.
And we were out there shooting a lot of rounds one day, and somebody was just like, "Hey, I feel faster," and then everybody's like, "Dude, I do too." And we're like, "Let's put up some first targets," and we started noticing like doing the eye test, and groups are tighter. So then we spent the rest of the day creating a course of fire, and with grip, without grip. And what we have found is you inherently get faster without the grip, but the grip remains faster and accuracy remains better. So we submitted that to this team of statisticians, and they came back and they were like, this is legit. And they're like, this is legit because you guys aren't statisticians and you made this up.
Yeah.
And it's factual. The only thing you need to do is randomize what weapon you start with. Flip a coin. So heads is with grip, tails is without grip.
So that sometimes people get a mix of them.
Yep.
Makes sense. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I do. Oh, that's my to-do list. That is not my white paper. All right, so let's talk. So those are the firearms. Cover most of that. So you had the story behind Ryker is great. Your son, the 5 Fs. You talked about the 5 Fs are faith, family, fitness, fighting, firearms, and a bow, like a bow and arrow. Okay, so how did you come up with that?
My good friend Scott Puckett used to say, you know, faith, family, and fighting, or faith, family, fitness, whatever it was. And then one day I was just sitting there and I was like, yeah, you know what? It's like faith, family, and just came up with it. And it's just something like I like to live by, you know, like we're homeschooling our son. So he's reading, he's doing math, but we're also doing geography. He's We actually, yesterday, we got went and got him his first compass because we're very far down the road in geography. So now we're teaching him how to navigate with a compass. So it's just all of those things are combined for me now. It's like faith, like everything has got to be through Christ, right? And family, that's why I do it.
Yeah.
Fitness is key to life, right? Fighting, you can't be good at just one thing. Yeah. Even if like people a lot of people will discredit, but like those gyms like 9 rounds and like these cardio kickboxing classes, you know what? Those soccer moms are in there. They're learning routines. Yeah. They're learning repetitive movements.
100%.
And they're actually pretty badass with it, right? So the fitness, then the firearms, or the fighting, and then the firearms. The firearms portion, do something, right? I have so many clients. That come and take my class. Like I have a gun. I don't know how to shoot it. I've had this gun for years. I've never shot it. Or when I go and shoot, I just like, bah, 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 bah.
Yeah.
So I started blasting, right? And I completely fix all of that, And then a bow. I've only been shooting a bow almost a year and a half. I hit 7,000 shots 2 days ago.
Okay.
7,007 shots. And I'm counting every shot to get to 10,000. And I'm still going to count after that, but my goal is 10,000 by February 9th. So that'll be over a year and a half. And, but I'm super pumped about it. But the bow, I
heard there's a different level of therapy with bow and arrow.
I can do it. I do it on the side of my house. So I don't have to drive to a range and set up targets and everything. I just go out there and shoot. So I started shooting, and then my wife wanted to try. She couldn't pull my bow back, and she's super competitive, and she got pissed. So we went and got her own bow, and then we had Ryker little recurve, and then I told him, I was like, hey, when you're strong enough, you'll get your compound bow for your birthday.
Yeah.
We were also waiting, because my whole family's southpaws, so we're also waiting for a kid's left-handed bow to come in, which is
hard to find.
Yeah, my bow shop, it was like over 5 months we waited for the left-handed bow.
Jeez.
We go down a couple weeks for last month he just turned 6. Early September he pulled it right back and just like drilled it at 20 yards, and he was like, yeah. So it's something that we can all do together. I've never hunted animals before, and
ever with even a firearm?
No.
Just okay. That's interesting.
And I just started last year.
Okay.
And I went hunting 3 times. I mean, it was successful because I learned. But I didn't get anything.
I mean, I don't want to brag. I went for the first time last year, got 2 hogs and a deer. Nice. I'm in Texas. So where were you hunting?
Eastern North Carolina.
Is it harder to find it out there?
No,
or are you just not as good of a shot as me?
Well, right now I'm going to stick with a bow.
Oh, well,
I'm just going to hunt with a bow. But we didn't get anything. I was 1 deer twice times for turkey. Well, my brother-in-law and I are going out. At the end of the month, we're going out for 4 days right when rut starts out at his property.
Yeah.
So
it's something, I've never been a hunter. My girlfriend's family, they have land, and there is something to it. I'm a big animal lover, so it is a little bit hard. But fact is, I know I'm still eating the deer meat, so I think there's a purpose behind it,
The way the world is now,
Mm-hmm.
I never had a need to do it before, but now I do.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the things that now it's also cool because it's something I can do with my son and my brother-in-law and my nephew. And my nephew and my son are 3 months apart. Yeah. So like this is something that we're all going to be able to do and grow and do everything and learn and hand things down. And I fell in love with the bow. It's therapeutic. It's fun. But like I was a ski instructor in the Marine Corps and Arctic Reconnaissance and stuff that I did when I was stationed in Alaska. And I got bored of skiing one day, and I was just like, I was out at a communications school in 29 Palms, right around the corner from Big Bear. And I brought my skis, and I skied one day, and I was just like, I'm done. I went and rented a board, and I taught myself to snowboard. And so it's the same thing. I had my bow mentor gave me my first bow, and gave me a couple lessons, and then like I've done this and sat down with other people and everything like that. So it just all brings it in together. For me, it's things that I like. Faith, family, fitness, fighting, firearms, and a bow.
Now I feel like I gotta get a bow because I can shoot that at her house. She's got 10 acres. We can't. Too many horses can't do the firearm. So, I have the thing from the Blaze where you can actually test the they advertise it where you can test your firearm, like you put a laser bullet in there. It's kind of what's it called?
Laser bore sight.
It's like it's like that. There's a certain company that does it. I haven't tried it out.
Mantis X also makes.
Mantis is one, and then it's the competitor to that I have. I can't think of it.
Yeah, I'm a Mantis guy.
Okay.
Their Blackbeard X, which they just came out with, which is it's ridiculous. It's for the AR, and you take your bolt out, you put the bolt in, which is the charge, and you can adjust the bolt, and you put the magazine in, and it shoots a laser blast out there. But it's also allows you the ability to shoot and move and transition, and it records the data on the app.
No kidding.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Let's flip through the photos, and then I'm going to end with like a couple questions about background checks and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and I'll have you explain what we're looking at in these photos.
So we did, I want the Ryker grip to transcend the firearms industry. If you're putting a rifle in your shoulder, I think that you should at least give the Ryker grip a try. This was an event we got invited to attend. It was a Call of Duty character event at Airsoft, at SNS Airsoft in Georgia, just northeast of Atlanta. And it was a great day. And I got to introduce Alex Zedra to the grip, and then Jade Struck, who's up on target right there. She's right down the road from us. She's like our little sister, but we've been working a lot with that, and she's absolutely adapted to the Ryker method. So right here, we had some time. Me and a couple of the other guys from the recon background who were there, we sat down and we were giving classes on CQB fundamentals and everything like that. So right there, you can just see a basic two-person stack. Both of them, two different weapons. One's an AR platform, and the other one's an MP7.
I think it's crazy. It just looks more comfortable. Mm-hmm. I mean, plain and simple. All right, next shot.
That's just me blasting, teaching a class, doing some lateral shooting, far to near. And one of the things that you will recognize with the upper body mobility, that your ability going over support side, you can actually completely reach around behind you, shoot behind you accurately while you're walking completely away from the target. So right here is a close-up of a couple things. If you look, that's the Ryker control, and you can see the thumb pad right there on the top. And this is you can't really see the light, but that is the PEC, the laser right there. But if you look behind the PEC, there's two rectangle clips. Those are also going to be coming out with the 5-year anniversary pack. That's our cable guard system. So it removes the need for zip ties and tape and rubber bands on your gun. You just route your cables up underneath, and you clip it on, and they come in a 3-pack.
Like it.
And this is just, this is actually a good shot. A guy, our boy TJ Dunn in our dynamic shotgun, our shotgun development course. And he's running the Ryker grip on the Black Aces Tactical Benelli clone, the M4 clone. And just like I said, it's honestly so much fun to shoot it on a shotgun. This is our second sponsored shooter. This is Reagan, a.k.a. give her a follow, Pineapple Shooter. She's down in Florida, and she's been with us pretty much from the beginning, and she is now, I believe, 16, and she's paid to shoot. And
she looks like a future Democrat.
She is.
Just kidding.
Yeah, she actually
definitely. Joe's shaking his head like, nope.
she wants to fly jets in the Air Force. But she is not just like a pistol rifle. She's a competitive bow shooter. She's a hunter. She's got a really great family. I love her parents, and I'm just like happy that the relationship that we've had and been able to grow with her and her family. Okay. This is our first sponsored shooter, and you guys can see, looking at the forward part of the rifle, this is Alpha Addy. So it's Addy and Tristan on Instagram. Give them a follow. They're in San Antonio, Texas. And they're phenomenal. This, like, the family, again, the family that's dedicating and investing into the future, right? These last two pictures, this is the future of firearms. And this is our newest youth shooter, 14-year-old Jay Sly Woods on Instagram. He's part of the Hurricanes marksmanship team right up in Greenville, South Carolina. And this kid, I will tell you this, I've showed the videos of him shooting to guys in like my field, and they're just like, that's sped up, right? They're like, there's no way that kid shoots that fast, that accurate. He's nasty.
That's awesome.
Yeah. This is just, we were doing an event up in Concord, North Carolina. We were doing some UTM stuff, And I was just giving a demo for the grip, but also talking about, CQB, basic CQB 101, stuff like that.
That's awesome. All right, and I noticed all the Hawaiian stuff. So last couple questions before we wrap it up. We'll wrap it up pretty quick, though. What made you go with all the 80s Hawaiian look? We talked about the designer, but why did you do it? What made it?
We've got a bunch of logos. This is our newest one we came up with, and like I do front and I do back too.
Yeah.
So you can see me coming and going. But our other one is the traditional R in the Raven, and we've got about 5 different logos. We try to come up with one every few months, or like every 8 months to a year. And one of the things as we're doing this and navigating it, one of the hardest things in the firearm space is we can't do paid advertising.
No, you can't.
Yeah, and now actually last week Instagram just came on out and changed their policies. And
you can now?
You can now. So we're gonna tiptoe around it. We're gonna try a little
That's a weird time for them to do it.
Yeah, right before Black Friday.
Wow, okay. I was gonna say right before Black Friday. I was gonna say weird time with all the contention in this country.
Instagram's also losing to TikTok.
So they have to do something.
They're loosening up the reins a little bit. So the advertising and the marketing. So I probably do about 15 vendor shows, higher end vendor shows a year. I'm on the road a lot. I'm teaching. I'm doing demos at departments. It's pretty much all East Coast bound because it's easier for me to maneuver that way.
Yeah.
But as I'm doing these shows, one of the things I started looking at is like we would wear our T-shirt and everything. One of the things is that we just always wanted like brighter colors and stuff because we wanted to stand out.
Choice.
And then I started just seeing like everybody in the industry had a red and black logo. Everybody was wearing black T-shirt, black polo. And you go to SHOT Show, what do you get? You visit a booth, like, here, take a shirt. It's a black T-shirt.
Black and white.
Black and
red.
When I retired, I'm looking in my closet one day, and I'm just like, it's just black and green. I was like, I need some color in my life. And I've just went completely back to 1985.
Oh, it's awesome.
And my wife's like, you're never going to grow up. I'm like, I'm not. I'm not. But I started thinking about it, and it's just like, and then Retro Rifle came out, and my boy Kevin with Savage Tacticians, right in Wilmington, I wear his stuff, and they're really cool looking shirts, but they've got guns and stuff in them, so I just take them and I brand them, and I wear contrasting patterns, I'm having fun with it, but the thing is in a sea of black T-shirts, I'm going to stand out.
You are going to stand out 100%. On top of the product standing out as well.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can group the two. I don't know. We'll see. You were one of the first people, one of the jobs that you did was you were one of the intelligence, I believe, but on supporting the global war on terror.
It was it was on an ISR platform.
Oh, okay.
It was just airborne surveillance.
Got it. Okay. And then this is where I start to go on gun control. I believe in some common sense gun control. It sounds like you have similar actual ideals. There's some weird laws in the state of Texas, like kids can't have a pistol until 21, but they can have an AR at 18. I get it for the hunting purposes. Do you think there's some kind of middle ground at all that we can find between universal background checks, between the left and the right? I know that they politically find opposition for shits and grins, but is there some kind of middle, as somebody that obviously is an instructor, firearm instructor, selling an accessory, is there a middle ground in terms of that conversation?
I don't think there is, because you're not going to get both people to ever come in alignment like that.
Yeah.
We already have the background check. We already have the federal background checks.
Yeah.
Right? Universal background checks. You're saying the same thing about something that already exists that we have to do when we go to the gun store. You saw the article that came out about a month and a half ago about Visa giving up.
Oh, yeah.
Giving up the information about gun sales. That's how they knocked on that dude's door for the JK Armor.
It was in West
filter.
Virginia or something like that. Yeah, it's essentially they're creating their own registry, which is unconstitutional.
It's a unofficial gun registry, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a good place to be, and it doesn't matter like who's in that seat, but the administration and the policies and the ideology of them is going to further the divide, and
100%.
And then you're building up more us versus them.
Yeah.
And So common sense gun laws. If you're going to do it, in North Carolina, we have an 8-hour concealed carry permit class.
Yeah.
There's a minimum standard, and there's some things that you have to do in there. You have to do at a minimum 2 hours of castle doctrine. We're a castle law state. The rest of the class is kind of up to you, and then they have to do a 30-round qualification.
Yeah.
They say right in there, it's up to the instructor to have a higher standard. If so you so choose. So many people are just like, sit down, they read you the book, you shoot your 30 rounds, you don't know jack shit about concealed carry. So I look at it like this: is I still have a call to serve, and part of that is I'm going to strengthen my community. If you're going to carry a firearm in the community I live in, I want to have a hand in your education. I want to help you. So I'm taking 25 years of experience and putting it into this class. And in 6 hours, I can take a 75-year-old grandmother with arthritic hands, and I can have her from the 7. I can have her shooting the center of the target out.
Yeah.
In 100 rounds, right? So
do you think everybody, whether they have a concealed handgun license or not, that's my actual, I don't believe in giving an inch because they've taken a mile. We've seen that. But what if we have it where people, make it retroactive. You have 1 calendar year to go take a firearms class that is approved by the government. I know that sounds like a terrible thing to say, but they have to go into a class that they've gotten certifications for, and no matter whether you want to be concealed or not, but to own a firearm, you have to take a class.
I think you can never go wrong with education, right? I'm constantly, like I recently, I'm in the middle of writing an article about red flag laws. Yeah. And I'm learning tremendous amount about red flag laws. For instance, Florida has a red flag law. Odd, but yeah. But it's not like California and the Connecticut one, right? Yeah. But so it's just the continued education is super important. You can never go wrong learning something from somebody about something you know nothing about. Right. And that's important. I don't want to say that the government should step in. I don't want to state or federal government should mandate it, because it is our birthright that I can go buy a gun. It has to be on the person. So we have to appeal to hey, you need to dedicate time to do this. Yeah. And you need to do this. And it's funny. It's like I have people like, yeah, I've carried for years, but I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm like, you've carried for years and you have no idea what you're doing. How scary of thought is that? Yeah, like what are you doing? Yeah. So more laws isn't the answer. More education definitely helps. And it's not just about shooting. It's about understanding, like I'm an instructor for U.S. Law Shield, and I'm a huge component of legal defense for self-defense. Right. And like I'm believing it so much, my son's had it since he was 2. So it's just, that's the other thing. U.S. Law Shield started here. Yeah. And they're the oldest in the industry, and they've only been around since 2008. Yeah. That's a big thing. And so just having that kind of protection for shooters. You need to. If you own a firearm, it's not even just about... It's not about firearm. It's like a bat. It's a rock. It's a brick, right? And then understanding... I actually watched this... my friend sent me a link. It's Armed Attorneys. And they did a really good thing about... a really good video about the legality and the aftermath and how it's going to be perceived. Like if I'm involved in a shooting and you're involved in a shooting, it's going to be 2 different court cases. So I always try to de-escalate and go to non-lethal. My first frame of mind, depending, I'll process the situation and I'm going to go non-lethal first. I always carry pepper gel on me because pepper gel is just amazing. And it's just, if you have never pepper gel somebody, not in training, like legit pepper gel somebody, it's awesome. It's a wonderful experience. Badass. But I'm going to go non-lethal. So the thing is the biggest thing that you can get in your education is find somebody who's going to teach you to process it mentally. Yeah. And to get in that cognitive higher power of just like tactical pause, big breath of air in through your nostrils, get the eye focus back. And, get back on point and start making critical decisions in critical response. And that's how I went 3 for 3 on my first shots on the things. 3 for 3. Last thing, go ahead and tell them where they can find you, and then we're going to wrap up. All right. Ron Holmes. I'm ron.holmes@rykerusa.com. rykerusa.com. Again, use the code Ryker20 at checkout. Get on there. Get on our email list because the Ryker control is only going to be available in a 5-year anniversary pack. at a discounted price up until Black Friday to our email list only. Then it'll be open to the public. And then I think after Cyber Monday, it goes back full price. On Instagram, InstructorOne, spelled out O-N-E all together. And that's my call sign I got after I lost a nut.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good.
And yeah, you don't pick your call sign. And then, or Ryker USA on Instagram, and YouTube is Ryker USA. Yeah, but give us a follow. And again, we're in Eastern North Carolina. We do a lot of vendor shows. We do travel to put on training. So if you're interested in any of the training we got to do, hit me up, and we'll discuss what you guys want to get done, and we'll make it happen.
I dig it. Thank you guys for joining us. As always, again, this is a fun guest. I'm actually going to talk to him afterwards, see if we can become an affiliate for Ryker. I think it's a pretty cool product. We've got all ages across the board that watch this stuff. And it's a badass product. So I'll fill you in when I use it on my AR style weapon. I'll tell you how that goes. Guys, please remember awakenotwokestore.com. Use awake for 15% off. And I can't wait for next week. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a share. Do me a favor. Take it easy, guys. God bless.